We're back, Missouri Nation, with really part 2 of 5 common student pilot errors that happen right here on the ground. What's happening, Missouri Nation? Jason Schappert here, M0A Online Ground School. Be sure to like, subscribe, YouTube and Facebook. And of course, you can always take a 2-week free, no strings attached trial of that online ground school, m0atrial.com, to check that out and learn more. 5 more student pilot really common errors. Last week we talked about errors that we make in the airplane. This week we're looking at errors here on the ground. And the first one is a big one. It's not prepared for your lessons. Many flight schools and flight instructors around the country utilize M0A as their online ground school provider. And some flight schools have gotten really, really smart. They've learned, like, hey, if I assign you homework, lessons 1, 2, and 3, they won't dispatch the airplane until that learner, that student, has gone, logged in, completed satisfactorily those lessons. Pretty cool stuff. But listen, you know how big I am on knocking out our ground school, and really all your ground prep work. It's just so vitally important to be not only that good pilot who's always learning, but that prepared pilot as well. Which leads me to error number 2, too reliant on your flight instructor. Early on, your flight instructor is going to do a lot for you, but eventually, you got to tie down the airplane yourself. You got to secure the airplane yourself. You got to fill out the hobs and the tack time yourself. Those seem like little things. I'll never forget, if I could just share a quick story with you. I had a learner, and they were notoriously late. Every time they're always late. And I will never forget, they were late. They were already like 30 minutes late. This is pre-solo. They're like 30 minutes late, and they called me and said, hey, I'm still like 15 minutes behind, but Jason, could you please just have the plane kind of fueled for me and pre-flighted, so when I get there, we can just hop in and go. I'm thinking, I don't need to learn how to fuel and pre-flight. You do, right? Maybe a little too reliant on the instructor, and maybe some other hazardous attitudes in there along the way. But you can't be so reliant on your instructor to do everything. And that also builds up this attitude of, well, my instructor's always done it this way, or my instructor will always have the answer, whatever that may be. You know what? When you're in the business of pursuing mastery, you need to be going above and beyond to find the right information out there as well. Speaking of mastery, tip number 3 is falling behind on those ground studies. I was this way. Now look at karma. Look what I get to do for a living now. I tell you all, get your written test done, get your medical, get all this stuff, then start flying. I can't make this up. I thought I met all the requirements to take my private pilot check ride, and I'll never forget my instructor said to me, you can't take your check ride yet, Jason. You haven't done your written test yet. My exact words were, what's a written test? I literally didn't know. So I had to go back, and those of you who've done it, how you prep for a written test, a knowledge test, and how you prep for your check ride are often 2 very different things. So keep up with your ground studies. Get the written test monkey off your back so you can be focused on the fun part, focusing on the flying. Common student pilot error number 4 is this. It's a failure to budget. I'd see it time and time again. Learners who budget just to get through solo. Or here's another one we forget about. Learners who budget just to earn their private pilot certificate, forgetting that, well, you want to stay current and proficient and take friends flying as well. Well, you only budgeted 10 grand. That's going to get you your certificate and not a whole lot else thereafter. You need to budget for flying beyond that as well. Make that budget a priority. And remember, some flight schools will give a discount if you put a chunk of money down. Some will offer veteran discounts. Don't forget about VA and GI benefits if you're going the collegiate route, scholarships. Budget will slow progress is what it really comes down to. The 5th and final common student pilot error is a failure to improve on your decision-making skills. This relates so closely to the relying too much on your instructor. If you don't strengthen the muscle of making good decisions, right? Should we go flying today? I would always eventually put that back, especially pre-solo and certainly after solo, back on my learner. Hey, you make the call if we're flying today. Now, obviously, I knew the right decision, and most times they made the right decision, but there's always those few times they didn't. And sometimes those made for some interesting days. For example, Maybe it was 12 knots gusting to 17. Super common, Florida in the afternoons. And we were going to do pattern work. And it was clear and 10, beautiful day, but 12 knots gusting to 17. And I said, hey, it's your call if you're comfortable with it. And it was a dual pattern flight. And the learner said, yeah, it's a go. I said, would you do this solo? Yeah, it's a go. We went flying, and they learned very, very quickly personal minimums as they relate to winds as well. One thing you'll notice here at M0A, you know I'm always diving into the NTSB reports. What can we learn? I hate talking about accidents, especially those involving fatalities, but I believe we're doing these pilots a disservice if we don't learn from them. Now, ground school members, you see me do this on webinars all the time. We do accident analysis series as well here on YouTube and Facebook, so be watching for those. But a good pilot is always learning isn't just a catchy slogan, it's something to live by. We're not in the business of, hey, here's 5 easy tips like we just shared with you, right? We're in the business of making you a safe real-world pilot. Does that make sense? Not here's how to pass your written test, or here's a gouge for the written test, even worse. No, I want to teach you the how and the why behind each of those, not ABC rote memorization. M0A is the longest private pilot course in the market. I want to say we're up to 29 hours of recorded content right now. It's definitely the biggest private pilot course on the market, but I'll tell you, it's because we're prepping you for the real world, going above and beyond what any ACS or checklist would ever say. Listen, I hope you'll check it out. Go to m0atrial.com to check it out. Have a blessed, abundant, outstanding rest of your day, and most importantly, remember, a good pilot is always learning. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you. Pass your FAA written test and pass your FAA check ride, or I'll pay for it. See why more than 130,000 people trust M0A for passing their FAA exams.